Hello again, dreamer. Welcome to Inside the Creative Mind. If you're here, it's probably because you too live between ideas. You speak the secret language of silence. You get excited by things that don't yet exist. Today's episode is for that very space, that in between, that I don't know what I'm doing, but I can't stop feeling. We're talking about the art of not knowing and why it might be the most powerful place a creative mind can live. Let's go there together. But before we wander deeper into today's creative maze, this moment, this space, is gently powered by YoCo Art, a creative studio where imagination turns into form, where ideas become objects and the unseen gets to speak. From custom art toys to poetic stories, from 3D dreams to laser-cut realities, YoCo is not just a brand. It's a world where creativity wears its truest colors. We build beauty from your ideas and give shapes to the part of your mind only you could see. You can visit us on Instagram, where we live under soft and rusty pinks at YoCo_art. Dream with us, create with us, because everything starts inside the creative mind. Think about a fog, the way it wraps around the world like a whisper. You can't see too far ahead, but you keep walking. Why? Because somehow you trust the road is still there, right? Creativity is like that. You start a project, not because you know where it's going, but because something inside you is whispering, "Come find me." There's a myth that real artists have clarity from the beginning, but I've never met a single creative person who wasn't at least half lost when they began. The fog is not failure. It's a form of faith. That what you can't see yet is still real. But let's talk about questions. When I was younger, I thought answers were everything, like golden trophies you collected at the end of some perfectly linear path. If I didn't have the answer, I thought I had failed the test. But now, I see questions as candles, tiny flames we carry through the dark corridors of our mind. They don't always give us clarity, but they will give us light. They make the shadows dance. They remind us where we are. Some questions spark a new idea, a flicker in a quiet room. Some just sit with us in the silence, holding your hand like an old friend who doesn't need to fix anything. And some carve open doors to rooms you didn't know existed. Here are a few questions I carry with me when I'm creating something and I feel a little lost or messy or too human. What if I'm not supposed to understand this yet? What if confusion is not a flaw, but a crystal? What if the process is the piece? What if the making, the mess, the failed draft, and the tangled thought, that is the art? What if the thing I'm trying to say is smarter than me and I just need to listen? Listen to the quiet ego and let the soul speak in shutters and symbols. What if your confusion is sacred? Not something to fix, but something to bless. A holy in-between. A place where your mind is still dancing with the unknown. We are so trained to seek resolution, to tie the bow, to make sense. But sometimes the magic lives in the unsolved, in the not yet, in the ache of almost knowing. So, light a question tonight. Let it glow gently in the middle of your creative storm. Let it be enough to keep you company. And let it remind you that even without answers, you're still moving, you're still alive, you're still becoming. Sometimes I imagine having a conversation with my creativity. Not the productive kind, not the checklist kind, but the tender, strange kind you might have with a childhood friend. Here's how it goes. I will say, I don't know what I'm doing. And creativity will respond, good, that means you're open. And I will go, but what if I waste my time? Creativity says, time spent becoming is never wasted. And then I will say, I'm scared. I'm scared it won't be good. And creativity would answer, make it anyways. You learned what it needed to be. We think creativity wants us to be smart, sharp, and prepared. But really, it just wants us to be present, to show up with our trembling hands, to meet the unknown like an old friend, to say, okay, I'll try. Have you ever started a project thinking it would be one thing and it turned into something else? It happens to me constantly. I sit down to draw and I write a poem instead. I sketch a toy design and end up sketching an emotion. I write a story about someone else and it teaches me about myself. This is the magic of not knowing. When you loosen your grip, the word gets to speak. Try this. Instead of asking, what do I want to make today? Ask, what wants to be made through me? Listen. The answer might not come in words. It might come in color, in rhythm, in goosebumps. This is still an answer. Let's bust a myth. Clarity is not a requirement for creativity. It's a result of it. You don't have to know who you are before you make something. You don't have to have a 5-year plan, a niche, or even a finished sentence. You just have to be willing to follow the thread, even if it tangles, even if it leads to a dead end, even if it circles back to you. Most of the best things I've ever made come from mid-process chaos. That delicious, infuriating moment when nothing fits and I'm tempted to quit. But I don't. I keep going, and eventually, clarity arrives. Not as a goal, but as a gift. Okay, let's do a tiny ritual together. Close your eyes if you can. Put one hand on your chest. Now ask yourself, why don't I know right now? Say it out loud, or write it down, or whisper it to your mind. Now say this. I give myself permission to not know yet, and I trust that the next step will find me when I'm ready. Breathe in, breathe out. This is what it means to be alive inside of a creative mind. Not a machine, not a blueprint, but a garden, a question, a galaxy still forming. This is your Muse message for today. Uncertainty is not a lack. It's a space, a sacred pause, a soft silence waiting for you to sing. I hope today reminded you that not knowing is not a weakness. It's an opening, a beginning. If this spoke to you, send it to someone who might be in their own fog right now. And if you're walking through the mist alone, just know there are a lot of other artists walking beside you. We're out here too, creating not because we have the answers, but because we have the courage to keep asking. Until next time, stay curious, stay soft, and stay beautifully unsure.